Welcome to Threes and TDs, a podcast all about the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League. Today we're going to discuss the Panthers and Houston Texans joint practice. There was a lot going on in the joint practices, some good, some concerning, but I think that overall a lot of good things happened. CJ Stroud, there was a lot of pictures of CJ and Bryce kind of hanging out, being together. Once again, they were the 1 and 2, like the 1 and 2 picks in the draft. CJ has always spoken very highly of Bryce, even when Bryce was kind of struggling with all that stuff last year. So it was good. It was good for them to hang out. It was good for them to just be together and to, they both just speak very positively about one another. So Jalen Coker had a fever, so he didn't play, and really that leads to the first storyline. And the first storyline is that Xavier Legette heard everybody say that the wide receiver 2 was not his anymore, and he played lights out. He had a couple of catches, but he played really, really well. He essentially said, Jalen's good, but I know who I am. And if Jalen thinks he's just going to take this wide receiver 2 position, it's not going to be that easy. It's just not going to be that easy. So I thought, Xavier Legette heard everybody talking, and he said, "Nah, we're not doing that, fam. Like, we are going to show up today," and he did. He had. There was one ball where, and we'll talk about Bryce here in a second, there was one ball where Bryce kind of threw the ball up, and the ball placement was just phenomenal. He took it, and then there was another one where he kind of outstretched his arms this way and just played phenomenal. Just had a really, really good game. So now, once again, we've got this competition between Xavier and Jalen, which is good. Like, they're friends, they're good, they like each other. It's not like... It's a good competition to have, is my point. But I'm going to be interested in who has a better showing on Saturday, because it seems like, Jalen got the opportunity, played phenomenal in the preseason game. Xavier came back today and joined practice and said, "I'm here to stay. Like, I'm here to do some work." And then, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the preseason game. This offensive unit is I know that it sounds like hyperbole, but we have never had an offensive unit that is this talented. We just haven't. We have not had an offensive unit that is this good, and that is a good problem to have. Our offensive line played phenomenal. I've said this before, but the only kind of weakness that we have, to me, is that tight end room. Mitchell Evans had a couple grabs, the rookie out of Notre Dame, but really JT Sanders has played well. Now, an argument could be made, well, JT is going against our secondary, which isn't great, but I really do think that we are going to be, our offensive unit as a whole is the best offensive unit that this franchise has ever had. I don't care if you think that's hyperbole. I really do believe that to be true. On the defensive side of the ball, which we'll get to here in a second, that's another thing. There's a lot of work that our defense is going to have to. The defense is going to have to prove the doubters wrong, and I'm not doubting the defense, but there's some concerns on that side of the ball, and not just the linebacker and the secondary, but I did want to talk about Bryce. Because Bryce is playing lights out, and there were a few people talking about this on Twitter today, which is his ball placement, especially his ball placement with balls that are 25 yards or deeper. His ball placement is phenomenal. He is not just... His accuracy was always, to me, above average. And he's so smart with the way he plays, but he is dropping balls where they need to go. That shot to Xavier, he just caught that. He was like, "Oh, I'm here. So I think there's going to have to be some people are going to be shocked by what Bryce does this season. And look, he's playing great. He has I think he's more confident than he has ever been before. And, Cade Mays had some really good reps today, filling in for Damian Lewis. Like, this offensive line is going to be a top 10 offensive line unit again. There was also a play with T-Mac where he was on a crossing route and he went all the way for a touchdown. So, I don't know. I'm really excited about our offense. Switching gears a little bit to the defense, we've talked about how our linebacker core and our safeties and cornerbacks are going to be, JC's great, and Corey Thornton has had a great camp, but it's not the strength of the defense. If anything, we've thought that the D-line was the strength of the defense. Well, there are a couple of reps, a few reps where that D-line, it didn't really look like there was much kind of force or movement. So to me, I don't think we need to overreact, but it is important to think like this D-line is not going to be a top 10 D-line. But if we can get to like 20 to 22nd instead of 30th to 32nd unit, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, but there are a lot of reps where it didn't really look like that D-line had a lot of movement or force. So for all of y'all, including me, who have been saying, oh, this D-line is going to be a top 15 unit, let's slow our roll. Because I don't necessarily think that might be the case. I think our D-line might actually really struggle this year, even though it's going to be better. Derek Brown I heard conflicting things about Derek. Because one of the things I heard about Derek is that he had a few good reps, but then there was another one where he didn't have like the leverage. So the offensive linemen for the Texans kind of just pushed Derek back. So I don't know. Like I think this defensive line is still going to be much better than it was last year, but we're still one or two D linemen away from really being, I think, a top 10 unit. What else? There were a lot of reports about a lot of coverage sacks, and CJ Stroud was frustrated. There were a lot of reports about CJ being really frustrated. And that's not because the D-line had a lot of movement. It was because the coverage on the back end was good. So it was really interesting because we've thought the defensive line was going to be the backbone of this defense. But this joint practice kind of showed us that the strength actually was the back line. And you're going against Nico. Like, Nico's a top 5 wide receiver in this league. So I don't know how to take that. Like, I guess I'm encouraged about our secondary, but discouraged about the defensive line. But it's one practice. Like, I wouldn't put that much stock into it. I'm getting so excited talking about this that I'm kind of losing my breath. But anyways, those are my thoughts. We'll give more thoughts tomorrow as we prep for the preseason game against Houston. Really good things offensively and defensively. I still think we're going to be really competitive. I wouldn't be surprised if we won 8 to 9 games today. And honestly, that's better than we've had in a really long time. So anyways, thanks for liking, subscribing, and I'll see y'all in the next one.